So what are some other trends on home improvement that you're seeing, and how can homeowners incorporate that into their spaces?
I would say the biggest trends right now are the earth tones. People want something warm and cozy. We're kind of leaning away from more of the starker hospital type colors. We're moving away from the super contemporary bright look into more of something that is lived in and cozy, which I am totally here for. That's more my style personally.
Welcome to Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast, presented to you by the Lawrence Board of Realtors. We are your go-to source for all things real estate in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm Lexi Haskin with Flint Hills Mortgage.
And I'm Emily Robertson with McGrew Real Estate. Together, we're here to make the journey to homeownership a breeze. Join us as we share insider insights, expert advice, and a dose of fun along the way.
Okay, welcome to Lawrence Real and Local, just Keeping It Real podcast. We are joined today by Victoria Perdue from Keller Williams Integrity and also KB Painting Kansas. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Sweet. So do you want to kind of go over what this episode's about, Emily?
Yeah, so we're kind of just going to be talking about getting a home ready to list, kind of what to do, good paint colors, all the fun stuff that Tori's really good at. So let's get into it.
We have a design expert here with us today.
Absolutely.
I do what I can.
Perfect.
So, sorry. I was going to say, so how did you even get into this, or how long has KB Painting Kansas been a company? How'd you just say, like, this is a need, I want to do this, I love this?
So I was in real estate already when I started working for a designer here in town named Jack Hope. And I was just his assistant. I needed something on the side. We had just moved back to Kansas and just decided that, I can do real estate and I can work with him. And the more I worked with him, the more I learned. I learned about paint colors. I learned about what's trending, how to put together different ideas to make it cohesive. And eventually Jack said, I just want to retire. So when he retired, I went in with the other people that were currently on staff and bought the company. We had a lot of fun, and one of our subs at the time was KB Painting. KB Painting had been in business for about 20 years at that point, from Kate Boyd, who a lot of people will know who she is. She is considered a paint expert as far as her color choices, and she'd just been doing it for a long time. So she was our subcontractor for our painting services. And she came to me and said, I'm thinking about retiring. Are you interested in buying a company? And I said, yes. So I went to my parents and I said, are you interested in buying a company? So we all got together and we started this group effort. So I own KB Painting with my husband and my parents. And my mom, Andre Babin, is really the one who runs the show. She is on the job site, making sure everything's done right. And I do more of the background, but I've also done a lot of paint consultations. But it goes well with real estate because we're able to bring our KB Painting team in to help people prep their homes to sell, to make sure that they look picture perfect when it's time to hit the market.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Perfect. So what are some common mistakes homeowners can make when choosing paint colors for their homes?
So if you're living in the home, you can pick whatever paint color you want. Just knowing that when it's time to sell, some other people might not be a huge fan of it. I would definitely go, if you're looking to sell, with a more neutral color. We're kind of getting away from grays and going more toward beige and tan. So something in the middle of that you can't go wrong with.
Like agreeable gray, where
Agreeable
it could go
gray.
Tan or gray.
It is very agreeable, as its name says. I actually talked about that paint color yesterday with a client, but it goes with everything because people have a lot of gray furniture right now. But if you're wanting to kind of shift away from the traditional grays with the blue undertones, that's a good one to kind of bridge the gap into more of a brown undertone. But really, when you're looking at a paint deck, which is that huge pile of paint samples that you get at a paint store, they are listed in a way that you can see what the undertone is. If you look at the very top one, go all the way down on that line of paint colors and look at the bottom one, that's the undertone that you're looking at. So if you have a gray color, a light gray, and you're like, I think it might be a little purple. If you go down to the darkest version on that line, it's going to show you, oh yeah, it does have purple in it. So maybe we go with a different color, or maybe that's exactly what we're looking for. So neutral whenever you're selling a home. But if you are looking to live in a paint color, just pick a color you love and don't worry about what anyone else thinks about it.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting about how seeing the undertone of that color. I guess I never realized that.
That's a really good tip. I like that.
Yeah, and you really don't see the undertones until you put it on your wall and you live with it. So meeting with an expert who understands the different undertones and understands the paint colors, and even I can look at certain color choices that people pick and say, hey, this mix typically doesn't come out great and it needs like 4 coats to go on. How about we go with this color instead, which I know we can do in 2 coats because it's just a better mix.
Mm-hmm.
So meeting with someone who understands the colors, understands the products is really important if you want to make sure that, it only takes one time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, when we were painting the nursery, my dad was pretty mad at me because I was like, I want to do nursery on a budget. So I'm going to get this paint color because it's a little bit cheaper and this and that. And I got back and he said, why didn't you just get the brand that I told you to get? Now I'm going to do this like blah, blah, blah. So I ended up having to go back and get 2 more gallons of paint.
Yeah, it can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And some of the products, they're just not going to cover other things that are already on the wall. So you have to make sure you get the right kind of product, maybe something that has the primer in it so it covers better. There's lots of different nuances that it's not just paint. There's just so many different types of paint. If you are looking for something that is going to be able to be cleanable, then you want something with more sheen in it. If you like that matte look, but you want cleanable, you need to find a very specific paint brand that has a matte that is also cleanable, because most of the time, like a flat is not going to do it for you. It's going to scuff, and then you're going to have to repaint it the next year. So yeah, there's so many options, and it does make a difference. And if you're painting it yourself, it's going to make a difference in how your arms feel after you're done with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah. When it comes to paint, just completely over my brain. I just go up to a shelf. I'm like, okay, I think this one. Yeah, definitely talk to an expert. It'll save you a lot of headache.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So how does painting affect the overall aesthetic and value of a home, especially when preparing it for sale?
Yeah, so when people are looking at homes, they want to view themselves in the space.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to view what you left over for them. So if you put fresh paint on, you're removing scuffs, you're removing chips, you're removing that time your dog decided to try to get through that door even though you told him you couldn't go. All that kind of stuff you're taking away, and it's a fresh, clean slate for whoever's going to be moving in there. And that's always more appealing to buyers. They want to be able to picture themselves, their families in the space, their own furniture in the space, which is one of the reasons why you pick a neutral color. But really, it's one of the cheapest things that you can do to bring more value to your home and just have it refreshed and clean for the next person coming in.
Just kind of elevate the experience for people walking through the home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have some cost-effective tips for kind of getting a home ready for sale?
Yeah, so definitely paint is always my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Get carpets cleaned if they're not bad enough to need replacing. A lot of people will say, well, if you do these giant renovations, it's going to add value. And unfortunately, in the market that we're in, it's not necessarily going to add more value because there's not a lot of homes on the market anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cost has already gone up. So if you're thinking about, hey, we just need to completely redo this kitchen, and you pour $70,000 into it, which is awfully cheap for a kitchen remodel, honestly, you're not going to see the return there. You want to stick with things that need fixed, things that look dirty, that need cleaned. Are your light switch covers yellowed over time?
Mm-hmm.
It's really cheap and easy to go and buy nice, fresh white ones and put those up.
Or blinds even.
Yeah, blinds. Are your blinds all tore up from pets? Then
Mhm.
take them down and put some curtains up. Even that will help. So there's lots of cost-effective ways that you can prep a home to sell. That's not going to be a huge renovation, and it's not going to take a lot of time.
Awesome.
And just fresh, clean, just
Yeah.
all the things.
Yep. And that's the most important thing. People want to walk in thinking that the home is clean and that there's not a lot of work they have to do.
Mhm.
So sometimes, a fresh countertop, if you have Formica countertops that have aged and chipped over the years, that might need replaced. But to say that we need to, bring a whole team in and redo this whole kitchen might be a little excessive, and you most likely won't see the return on investments there.
Do you cringe when people want to just like paint their cabinets in their kitchen, like especially if they're like real nice wood and whatever?
I do. That's
I do too.
me. I know that not everyone feels
Yeah.
that way. A lot of people like fresh white cabinets or whatever color. I still have honey oak cabinets in my house,
I love
and
that.
I own a paint company. I'm just betting that they're going to come back around. But no, in all seriousness, I really like to have some earth elements in a home. I feel like it is really warm and welcoming and cozy to have wood tones. And so I like to leave cabinets a wood color, but I understand that that's not everyone's preference, and that's okay. Like, we are happy to paint your cabinets if that's what you want.
Like even if I'm standing there like
Now, I really like the look of having a painted island with wood cabinets and mixing it up a little there. That's really fun to do. I'm seeing a lot of like navy or dark green islands, and that's really fun next to a wood tone. So I suggest that whenever someone wants to paint all their cabinets and they have really beautiful wood, I'm like, what if we do some of it? And we can bring both into this space.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into the next question too. I mean, so what are some other trends on home improvement that you're seeing, and how can homeowners incorporate that into their spaces?
I would say the biggest trends right now are the earth tones. As far as colors go, people want something warm and cozy. And we're kind of leaning away from more of the starker, more hospital type colors. Stark white,
Yeah.
super blue grays. We're moving away from the super contemporary bright look into more of something that is lived in and cozy, which I am totally here for. That's more my style personally. But as far as trends, we're seeing people want to make their homes more energy efficient. People want to have ways to save money and to be smarter about putting things into their home. So if they are choosing what kind of water heater they need to replace theirs with, they're going to be looking at, okay, how efficient is this? Is it going to save me money? Is it better for the environment for some reason? So those kind of questions come up more than what kind of tile do I want to put in my bathroom. So I think that we're in a time, as far as style-wise, where people are embracing lots of different styles and looking into what they like personally, as opposed to just making their home look like a hotel, which is fantastic. We should all bring our personal style into our homes because it makes it feel like ours. So the trend for home improvement is leaning more toward energy efficiency.
So also kind of talking, so how we're leaning away from, as you said, hospital, I feel like the stark, into the more warm, earthy tones. I mean, sometimes, I could completely be wrong on this. Those can come off as a little bit darker colors, and depending on how they're used, can darker colors also close up a space? Do you think that's maybe why that starker, like brighter color was used so much, was because it made the space seem larger? Or are there different ways that people can kind of contrast those so their room doesn't feel as small?
Yeah, so you can have light and dark colors in more of the warmer earthy tones. But I do think that a lot of people have liked the white, bright trend because it is, clean and fresh looking. It does open a space up, but it's not always inviting feeling.
Yeah.
So, but you can get, if you just go a little bit more toward, a earthy tone away from white, you can make this space look and feel cozier without bringing in a dark color. Now, I don't think that dark colors are bad at all.
Yeah.
And I do think that we shouldn't be scared of them. They can be really fun. It's a great way to bring in your personality. It's a great way to feel warm and cozy, especially in like a bedroom setting. But in those main living areas, picking something that still is earth toned but is lighter is really nice.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple black walls in my house.
Yeah.
I will say it does definitely show the dog hair, and I probably need to dust them more often. But
yes, that is
funny.
true.
Yeah.
It does show more.
Yeah.
So be aware. Sometimes you do need to dust your walls. And I need to do it more often. Just calling myself out like that.
I like that. That's funny. So when hiring a contractor for a home improvement project, what are some essential factors that a homeowner could consider?
Yeah, so definitely make sure that you like the person. They're going to be in your home, in your personal space, that you feel safe around that person. And ask if they use subcontractors. Subcontractors meaning it's people that they work with that aren't necessarily on staff with that company. So, for instance, at KB Painting, we don't do tiling. We bring in a subcontractor for tiling if we have a client who's interested in that. So we know that person, but depending on our relationship with them, it could be we know them just because they're a tile company, or we know their family, we know them personally, we work with them all the time. There's a difference. Having a subcontractor with your contracting company isn't necessarily a bad thing. I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would just say, hey, how well do you know them? And do you work with them often? Have you seen their work, and do you sign off on their work? So making sure that you know who's coming in and out of your home, whether it's that contracting crew or their subcontracting crew, is really important. Ask to see their previous work. Ask to see their reviews. We can even give our clients addresses that they can drive by and see paint colors of clients who have approved us to do that. And clients will even say, hey, if they have questions, give them my phone number. I'm happy to tell your new client how you did at our house and share our experience with your team.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, client testimonials too. I mean, that's always huge to hear directly from the horse's mouth.
Exactly.
Is that the saying?
I think that's the same.
That sounded right. I believed it.
I haven't painted a horse's house, but oh yeah, we've done a barn. Yeah, we have.
fun.
Okay, yeah, talk to the horse.
Yeah, talk to the horse. It'll come directly from his mouth. I
love it.
almost just was super impulsive and made a horse sound, but I'm not even going to try.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
That's cool. Could go really well or really bad.
that's where I'm at today. Oh my gosh, I'm so cringy. Okay,
No,
let's
you're
move
funny.
into the game.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to do fact or fiction.
Okay.
And so it's going to be kind of faster, so you can just say if it's true or not. And then if there is something you want to expand on, we can always expand on it too.
Okay.
Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I can do it. Okay. Using bold colors in a small room can make them feel smaller. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Fiction.
Depends on the lighting in the room, depends on the windows. Yeah. And maybe you want it to feel smaller.
Yeah. I like it. Adding a fresh coat of paint to your front door can increase your home's curb appeal. Fact or fiction?
Fact. It's the first thing everyone sees.
Love it.
I will say on painting your doors,
Mhm.
yellows and reds are going to take a ton of coats of paint. They're very popular for doors, but just be aware that they're very hard paint colors to cover.
That's interesting. So, I mean, with yellow paint, I mean, I can see that just like because it's just lighter, but with red paint, I don't know. I feel like since it's kind of darker, that's just
something
interesting.
with the pigmentation in there that it's not as even as some other colors.
That makes sense.
And so to get a nice even coat on it, it's going to take more than other paint colors.
Interesting.
It's interesting. Renovating your kitchen is one of the most cost-effective ways to increase your home's value. Fact or fiction? We kind of went over this a little bit.
It is fiction.
Yeah.
Yes, it can sometimes. I've done renovations that cost over $100,000.
Wow.
So it depends on what you do, of course, but it can be really costly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
DIY home improvement projects always save homeowners money compared to hiring professionals.
Well, that depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how good you are at it, what your skills are. Because if you're going to attempt something and then have to call a crew in, now you're paying twice for something. So
fact and fiction?
fact and fiction.
A double
Watch
answer.
the YouTube video first. See how hard it is.
You need to know your own limits.
Absolutely. Homeowners should avoid over-personalizing their interior design choices when preparing their home for sale. Fact or fiction?
That's a fact. Yes. So as long as the home is yours and you plan on living there, do what you want.
Mhm.
But if you plan on someone else buying it from you, make it appealing for buyers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I feel like, too, a lot of people, when they are trying to get their house ready, at least before talking to an agent, they just want to show off their home. And it's like, yes, you want to show off your home, but that's not what you're necessarily needing to do. Like,
They want to see their home.
Yeah.
Like they don't,
And it can be really hard to detach your feelings from
Absolutely.
your home. It's the most sacred place that you have. And when you're trying to sell it, sometimes putting a fresh coat of paint on for a color that you necessarily didn't live in or didn't want to live in can be a good way to detach the emotions from the home so that you feel like, okay, now this is going to be someone else's home. And I'm feeling better about this because it doesn't look like my home anymore.
Yeah. It's a good tip. I like that.
So before we go on to, so how can people prepare their homes to have the interior painted? Like, for example, let's say they were heavy smokers or it was a pet household or different things like that. I mean, paint doesn't necessarily cover those things because that can soak into the walls, correct?
Yes. So with smoke, particularly, it takes certain products to be able to cover that. It is going to cost more to get that taken care of because you have to put the primer products on, ones that are there to reduce odor, and then you can go back with color over top of it. So it's going to take some extra products to make sure that your home is smelling fresh. As far as pets, you just probably need to go with the whole fresh coat of paint everywhere. It depends on what they've done to your walls.
Yeah.
You might need some drywall repair before you start painting. So definitely drywall first. And if you're doing a home renovation where there's lots of trades coming in and out, paint needs to be your last because you don't want one of those trades doing something and then it marks a wall up that just got painted and then you have to pay for the painters to come back. So having painting last is really important. And I would say if you do have any kind of drywall issues, whether it is a texture issue, maybe you want to get the texture removed from a ceiling. That's all done before painting, of course, but it's a great way to just make sure, again, your space is fresh and ready for the next person to come in. You don't want someone asking, hey, what happened here?
Yeah.
What is going on in this room?
Yes.
Another thing, when I bought my house, there was a guinea pig room. So somebody just had an entire room just for their guinea pigs.
I think I might have sold that house.
And it was definitely kind of wild. It was.
I remember a client of mine had a guinea pig room. And yeah. And they can't be alone.
No, I mean, there has to be multiple guinea pigs.
Yeah, there's countries where you can't buy just one guinea pig.
Really?
It's illegal.
I mean, honestly, it would be kind of sad to just buy one guinea pig.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody needs a little friend.
Yeah, maybe
Pets are
it's a very introverted guinea pig.
Yeah.
I just banged my head into the microphone.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to say to people about just interior design, painting? Just what do you want to leave people with?
Yeah, I want to leave people with you don't have to completely renovate your home to make sure that it's looking fresh for the market. You can bring in an expert to tell you exactly the things that you need to do and things that you can not do. I have a lot of clients that say, oh, well, I think we just need to redo our whole kitchen. And I say, wait. As your agent, my goal is that you net the most money for your home.
Mm-hmm.
And so working with an expert, especially with someone who understands home improvement, then you can make sure that you are also netting the most that you can when it's time to sell your home.
Yeah. Awesome. Sweet. Well, thanks for joining us today. We're
Thanks
really
for
happy to
having
have
me.
you.
This was
Thank
fun.
you. It was great. And then thank you to the Lawrence Public Library as well for letting us use their space. We love it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
Okay. Signing off.
Thanks for joining us on Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast. We appreciate our guests taking the time to join us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you've enjoyed today's episode.
For more information, please visit us on the web, www.lawrencerealtor.com. And remember, whether you're buying, selling, or simply dreaming of your future home, we're here to help. Until next time, keep it real
And happy house hunting.